Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching us. Welcome, welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Joanne. If you're new here and this is your first time to see me, you're very welcome. We're happy to have you today. Today, I'm so privileged to be joined by two amazing ladies. You've seen us before, but we want to introduce ourselves today once again so that you know who we are. And today, we have quite an interesting topic, but we'll introduce ourselves first. And I'll go first. My name is Joanne. I am a registered nurse by profession. I live in Australia, was born in Uganda, and I'm a digital business owner and I'm a coach, and I love doing this business. And it gives me so much joy and pleasure to always come here and tell you a little bit more of what we are doing. And yeah, I'll let Ava introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you, wherever you are in the world, depending on your time zone. Oh, no, no. I trust we are all doing well. I'm Abigail. If you're seeing me for the first time, I am an HR practitioner and I do this business alongside my husband, Jordan. We are Jamaicans residing in South Florida and we are proud digital business owners. Thank you so much, Joanne. It's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you, Ava. Always a pleasure. Blessing.
Okay, hello, my beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, according to your time zone. I hope you all are doing good. So, my name is Blessing. I am a teacher and also an online digital business owner and mentor. I live and I work in Japan. I am originally from Nigeria, so it's nice to be here again today.
Thank you, Blessing. It's such a pleasure. Now, we have quite an interesting topic, a topic that I would say appeals to all of us. Because you know what? Since this new era of phones and having the phones in your hand, it is so amazing. But the question that I want us to ask ourselves as we start, what are you using your social media for? Are you using it as a way to escape from the world, learn about things, or are you using it to just, spend time? I have some 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and I have to scroll away. What are you using your social media for? And for sure, many of us are on the internet. Many of us have the popular apps, the social media apps, and we're on them every single day. And we scroll, we watch videos, we shop online, communicate with family. But very few of us ask ourselves, could this same internet that we are using actually benefit us more? Could it be a tool to improve our future? Could it be a tool for us to learn something new? And so today, the three of us are going to be discussing this topic. And I will start off with Blessing and ask her, before starting an online business, what did you believe about making money or build? Did you use social media for something else?
Oh, thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you for this question. Before I started my online digital business, honestly, for me, Facebook was just for entertainment. So what I do is that I would just come online, I would chat with friends, I would watch funny videos, and then I will follow pages that I like. And I would just scroll away. That's all I did. But I was not someone who posted because I was quite introverted. So what I did was that I always believed that, oh, life should be lived offline, not online. So I was more of a consumer than a creator. But then everything changed when I started my online digital business. That is when I realized that social media is much bigger than what I thought. It is not just a place where people come to pass time. It is actually a place where people are building businesses. People are building communities, people are building their personal brands and creating opportunities for themselves. So, my business introduced me to attraction marketing, and that completely changed the way I looked at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So instead of asking, what can I watch today? I started asking, what value can I share today? And another
Yes.
thing that really opened my eyes was discovering that content has value. Before then, I never knew people could actually earn through content they created. So I became more consistent. People started sending me, Facebook stats when I create reels and all of that, even when I do go lives. It was not even about the money, but it made me realize that something I created had connected with someone enough that they wanted to support it. But if you ask me what changed the most, I would say it was not the stars that they gifted me, it was me. Because if someone had told me that a year ago that I would be, doing daily go live, speaking confidently with my business partners from different parts of the world, mentoring people online, and also showing up on camera almost every day, I honestly wouldn't have believed it, because social media did not just change my personality overnight. It gave me the opportunity to discover a version of myself that had always been there but had never been expressed. So for me, today, I see social media very differently. Oh, yes, it is a place for entertainment, but it can also be a place for learning, for growing and connecting with people all around the world, and also creating opportunity. And one thing I always say is this: I stopped using social media just to watch other people build their dreams, and I started using it to build mine. And I think that is a mindset shift that can make a real difference, especially for many immigrants who are looking for new opportunities, but may not have realized that they are already holding one in their hand. Because the truth is, many of us carry smartphones and social media in our pockets. Only few of us realize that they are also carrying one of the most powerful opportunity building and income generating tools ever created. So the tool is not the advantage. Knowing how to use it is. And I'm so grateful that my business taught me how to use it effectively. So thank you so much, Joanne.
Thank you, Blessing. I can totally relate to that. I was a consumer myself, and I had this amazing page where I could look at everybody, whatever value they were sending, but I could never be on social media myself. And I was there every single day, but I appeared that I wasn't on social media, and I could watch so many people and I could watch their videos, but never thought of it as anything. So it is true. We can use it to create value, and that's a good thing. Now I'll move on to Eva. Um, what do you think? Why do you think many capable professionals are comfortable consuming content online, but hesitant to create, to share, or to build something of their own?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question, Joanne. I think one of the biggest reasons is that consuming feels safe, while creating requires some sense of vulnerability. And I can speak to this personally because before starting this business, I was that person. I was a consumer of social media, like you both said. I would scroll through Facebook or Instagram. I would watch what other people were doing, and every now and then, I would make a post. But if I'm to be honest, most of what I shared was content from someone else. Something I found interesting, something I agreed with, or something I thought others may benefit from. It wasn't, I wasn't really thinking about myself as someone who had a message, a voice, or something valuable to contribute. But when I decided to step into this business, I had to challenge that mindset. I had to recognize that if I wanted to build something different, I couldn't continue operating at the same place or from the same place. I had to move from being a consumer to becoming a creator. And the truth is, I had skepticism, I had questions, I had moments where I wondered, will people really listen to me? Will people understand? Will they judge me? But I realized that if I allow that skepticism to hold me hostage, I would remain in the same place. So at some point, we have to be willing to step beyond our comfort zone and trust what we carry actually has value. We have to believe that the knowledge, the experiences, and the perspectives we have gained, can make an impact on someone else. The truth is, many professionals hesitate because creating puts them in a position to be seen, right? It requires them to be visible. And that visibility can feel uncomfortable because it opens us to opinions, criticism, or even some sense of uncertainty. But what I have come to learn is that growth requires us to move through that discomfort. The reality is that social media has created an opportunity where each of us has a platform. There's a space for all of us. The question is not whether we have access, because we do, right? The question is whether we are willing to use it intentionally. And that is very, very important, because there's a difference between watching other people building and positioning ourselves to build something of our own. And Blessing alluded to that earlier. We can spend years consuming other people's ideas, and I have, people's stories and their successes, but eventually we have to stop and ask ourselves, are we just observing the possibilities, or are we willing to participate in creating them? And for me, that was the shift. I realizing that I didn't need to have everything figured out before I started. I just needed to be willing to show up, share, learn, and trust that what I am sharing, will bring some level of impact to someone along the way. Thank you so much, Coach Joanne.
Thank you, Avage. I can totally relate. Growth is something that makes you quite uncomfortable, but it is the thing that you have to go through in order to see yourself on the other side of the coin, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that is something many of us professionals, we fear. We fear that criticism. I know for certain that I feared to be judged. I feared the criticism. I feared, how is my family going to see me? Or how are my colleagues going to see me? And that was a real deal for me, But looking back now, the other morning, one of my colleagues just sat there and was like, "What are you doing on social media?" And she made a point that, resonates with me. She said, "I have seen you before and now after, and there's such a huge difference." And it's true. Before, I never used to say anything, but I guess I needed to go from that point of, shy, fear, criticism, to this other point where I'm confident about what I'm saying. And that takes time.
Yes.
Thank you, Avage. So now we'll move on to the next one. And that question is, what would you say to someone who believes they are too busy, too private, too old, or too confident, or not confident enough to use social media? Or I guess, this question is really for me because I was too busy. I have traditional businesses I'm running. I have a job here. I live in another country, and I sort of have to keep, managing things away from me and here as well. So I was that girl. I was very busy. And many of us are going to come up with that excuse to say that, we are busy. But you know what I wasn't busy also about? I had time to consume social media. I had time to watch videos, because every so often I would pick 10 minutes here, 30 minutes here, and, scroll through social media. And that is exactly the same time that I converted to build something else online, rather than saying I'm too busy. So I understand when you say I am busy, but sometimes that's the very reason you need to think about those pockets of time that you're actually using. When someone says I'm too private, that was me. I was sincerely on Facebook every single day, but on my page, it didn't show that I was there every single day. So I get that, the privacy thing. I get that. I understand them. But one thing that I have to emphasize is that you don't have to show every single detail of your life online. Absolutely not. None of us here show our details online of, I'm eating, I'm cooking, I'm going here. No. You only show what you're comfortable to show. And that's the beauty about, authenticity, because there are other people that are thinking like you. There are other people that are doing things like you, but they're a bit shy. So when you show what you're comfortable with, there are places that I would never ever sit to do a video, to do a live video. But there are other places where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to do this. So it's a question of knowing what you're comfortable with. And when someone says to me, I am too old, ooh, Guess what? With age comes wisdom,
That's right.
experience, and so those things that you have experienced that nobody else has experienced. In this journey of life, we are all going through one thing after another. There is an experience that I've been through that somebody else has not been through. But the fact that I can sit down and share about it, it means I'll save someone the trouble of making the same mistake that I made. And your age carries experience, it carries knowledge, wisdom, professionalism, and the ability to understand real people. On my team, I have a couple of ladies that are, almost retiring from work, and the amount of energy and experience they bring on the team is very different. Something that I wouldn't know, something that I didn't know how to do, but they bring it with so much grace that it makes me appreciate what their experience is, and what they are. And then the last one, when someone says to me, I'm not confident enough, oof, still here, still not confident enough. But you know what? It comes with time. It's a step by step. I know my friend Blessing used to, tell me several times, come on, Joanne, you can do this. But it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy for me to actually just, wake up in the morning, jump onto a live and get going. But you know what? With time, you build the confidence, and with the right community, that's quite important. And that's one of the things that our business brings us to. We have a community, and we have people within our community that encourage one another and help us to build the confidence. And none of us was born doing business. No. I remember my mom encouraging me to do my first business. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to do that. I just want to get a job, be employed, but it took the time for me to start, the time for me to grow and to experience all that. And that is how I've been able to show up. I've been able to stay confident. And that's how I've been able to learn. And of course, with our business, we have the mentorship, we have the training, we have the coaching, and all those things help us to grow that right skill that we need to be able to use social media to learn, to grow, and to develop ourselves. So you don't have to you don't have to be an influencer, you don't have to have a big following to know everything before you start. You simply need to be willing and ready to learn, to begin where you are, and finally to remain consistent long enough to grow. So the real question is, it may not be, am I too busy? Am I too private, too old, or too unsure? No. The real question is, am I willing to give myself the permission to learn a new skill that could change my life? All right. So thank you, everyone. This is a touchy topic that especially many of us don't want to talk about, but here it is. This is our opinion on how social media has changed us and how we have become, who we are, how we are able to still come on here every single week to talk about this and to show you the opportunity that is out there. Now, before we close out, I'm sure the ladies have something to tell you, so that, if you're thinking about this, if this touched something, if this got you thinking, what do you do? And we'll start off with Blessing. You're muted, Blessing.
Okay, thank you so much, Joanne. So, like we've been discussing, social media, it all depends on how you want to use it. So it's either you want to use it to, to scroll away or do whatever you want to do, or you want to create value. Because the truth is, when you create value, you're the one who is going to enjoy it on the long run. Because when I first started doing my Facebook, I remember, I think I had shared this story separately when I said the first live I came on, I don't think it was up to 1 minute. I just introduced myself and that was it. And everything I had practiced to say went off my brain and I just, clicked on the end life and that was it. But consistently, I started trying. I started trying not because, oh, I wanted to just do it for myself. I started trying because I understood the power of social media. And being that my business opened my eyes to how powerful the social media is, I had to, if I knew I wanted to grow, then I had to learn how to use it. And now when I just use, most times I put out content, most times I do go lives and I see people gifting me stars. Initially I didn't really understand what that meant, but later on I understood that, wow, so I was actually creating value. Because for like, I think few weeks ago, I traveled to Okinawa with Joanne. We traveled and I did not really do content. I didn't really do live because I was doing it always, but it got to a time that I couldn't because I wasn't feeling so well. I was just feeling, I was always worried. Oh, I must do my go live for, I didn't do my go live for this one, that one. But I noticed that people were still consuming the content I had created. People were still consuming the content I had created. People were still consuming the lives I had done before. People were still, gifting. People were still, communicating with me, asking me questions. And I was surprised. I'm like, wow. So it's not all about, so I noticed that social media, you can use it to your own advantage. So you could create quality content that even when you're not online, people will still resonate with those content. People will still like, people will still share, people will still comment. So it all depends on what you want to use social media for. I didn't say, oh, because we are saying social media, you should just jump into the, no. Try to know how to use it, because it's just that you are going to have trolls. There's one thing about social media. You're going to have trolls. You're going to have people who don't like it. Your friends might not like it. Your family members might not like it. Your colleagues might not like it. But just know how to control your emotions once you put yourself online. Know what to answer to, what not to answer to, know what to create and what not to create, know topics to touch and topics not to touch. So touch what you know you can handle and leave the one you know you cannot handle. Let it be there for people who can handle it. Because the truth is that social media is like wildfire. So it is the way you use it. The way you use it depends on the kind of reaction you get. So if you use it thinking that, oh, I can do anything, you're going to get reaction of, oh, you can see anything. But if you use it that you want to give value, you're going to see people who are going to resonate with everything that you're going to put out. So what I would say is use social media wisely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Blessing. That there you have it. And that is really somebody who spends time on social media, and she has been through a lot, and she's giving us the best way, tools and way to manage social media. Thank you, Blessing. Avage?
Thank you so much, Joe. And I was sitting and I was listening to Blessing. I was like, Blessing, you are so right. There's just so much things you have to be careful what you dabble into. But I think what I wanted to share is that I believe that this conversation brings us back to a very powerful question, and it's, what role are we choosing to play in this digital arena, in this digital space? Are we comfortable being spectators and just watching other people create, build, and grow? Or are we willing to step forward and recognize that we also have something valuable to contribute? The truth is, social media can be a place where we escape, compare, and consume endlessly. But it can also be a place where we can create, connect, educate, inspire, and build something meaningful. And the shift happens when we stop seeing ourselves just as an audience and start recognizing that we have a voice, we have a story, we have experiences that can add value. Because someone may be waiting for the very message you are hesitant to share. Someone may need the encouragement, the knowledge, or the perspective that only you can provide. So the question is that, do I have something to offer? But are we willing to step forward, become visible, and use the tools available to us to build something greater than ourselves? So if this conversation resonates with you and you've been feeling that there is more you want to create, more you want to learn, more you want to build, don't just stay in a place of watching. Take the first step. start the conversation. And if you're interested in knowing what we are doing over on this side, reach out to any of us. We'll be happy to share with you, explore the possibilities, because sometimes the opportunity you are looking for begin with the courage of just simply showing up, starting that conversation. We're here and we are ready to have that conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining, and I truly do appreciate it. Back to you, Joanne. Thank you.
Thank you, Avage. And I will close out myself and say one of my greatest regrets is that I didn't jump in soon enough. I consumed and consumed and consumed and forgot that I could do the same thing that other people were doing and earn from it. So my question to you guys, are you using social media to escape that 9 to 5 stress, or are you using social media to create possibilities for your future, to learn something new? Share comments below and let us know, and let us know how we can help you understand what to do better and how to actually use social media for your own growth. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you. We honor you for being here. I know that time is a precious gift, but thank you for sharing this time with us. And thank you, ladies. It's always a pleasure doing this with you. Have a blessed
Always
day,
a
everyone.
pleasure.
And bye for
Have a good
now.
night.
Bye.
Bye bye.